Right now. I train here too. My stuff here. Now chill, son. Chill. My stuff here. We can do it. What about you? What talk about, boy? What's up? What? Yeah. Make me eat it then. Make me eat it right now. Don't make me eat it right now. Yeah. Y'all better know. Shannon Briggs. Look at him.
No, don't touch me. I don't like men touching me. Okay, please. Don't touch. I mean, understand all the excitement, but
it's the champ. Shannon the Cannon. With the fake champ. Vitaly Klitschko. This the real champ right here. You see it face to face. Look at him, y'all. Hey, don't do that, champ. Don't do that, champ. Hey, don't do that, champ. For real, don't do that, champ. Hey, don't do that. Hands off. Don't do that. Don't you ever touch me like that. Don't you ever touch me like that. What's up, champ? I told you. Everywhere you go, I go. Everywhere you go, I go, champ. Take it outside. That's my plan. I'm the best that ever did it. I'm asthmatic, 2-time heavyweight champion, and that's mine Saturday night. And nothing can happen. Ain't nothing. He can't beat me. I already died 10 times.
Vitali Klitschko gegen Shannon Briggs. Und was wird der machen? Vorbei, aber den ersten Treffer kassiert er.
When you have an opponent like Shannon Briggs, he's more than likely going to take on the largest chunk of the promotional work, selling the fight through his loud and brash demeanor. In Vitali Klitschko's case, that left him free to just sit there and watch the pay-per-view buys roll in. Briggs has a real motor mouth and took every opportunity to try to get right up in Vitali's face. Klitschko knew that this would come to nothing on fight night, but to the casual observer, it certainly seemed like Briggs was up to the challenge. Or at least that's what anyone with no boxing knowledge might think. You gotta give Briggs credit. He certainly knows how to push someone's buttons. But this was a prime Vitali Klitschko, and anyone who knew what he was capable of wasn't worried at all. Because when the time came to fight, Vitali was about to teach this dude a lesson.
Irgendwo in Richtung Knie und kommt dann Treffer oder jede Aktion zumindest. Dreht sich gut raus.
What we got was an entertaining but ultimately dominant showing from Klitschko. His punches were landing with a very high rate of accuracy. And though Briggs was in it and showing heart, this was another tour de force for the champ. Briggs took on a hellacious beating over 12 rounds, losing the fight and proving that all his pre-fight posturing had been for nothing.
So big, like himself. Thank you.
You heard it there. Really good man, big, huge heart, so big he'd hurt himself. But here's Michael Buffer.
Luke Rockhold was a truly great fighter once upon a time, but his arrogance was the stuff of legend. And when all was said and done, people won't remember him for his best work, his kicks, his amazing BJJ. No, it'll be his cockiness, and how several fighters rose above it to teach him a real lesson. Mike Perry was one of those fighters, a hard-nosed brawler with a granite chin who made a new home for himself in bare-knuckle boxing. Rockhold was so confident pre-fight, despite not having the boxing background his opponent did, but he promised the world he'd never quit on himself.
Acceleration from Maidana, right back to it. Left hand gets through from Rockhold. There is, he told us he would. Walking forward to the inside, told us he was willing to take shots.
And in fact, he'd be the one to make the battle-tested Perry give up.
I think it's the perfect comeback fight for me, and it's a perfect step-up fight for Mike. One of us is here to pass the test. I'm gonna fucking pass.
You know, I work hard for this, and I'm one of the most savage people who step foot in a bare-knuckle boxing ring. I love breaking their hands with my forehead, too, so, you know, just tune in for blood and bone.
Well, if that was the plan, then Rockhold may have overestimated both his boxing skill and his chin on this fight. One of these guys was made for fighting like this. The other, well, the other was Luke Rockhold.
Of the UFC Championship that he won back in December, defeating Chris Weidman in the 4th round.
On fight night, Perry didn't have too much trouble finding Luke's chin repeatedly nailing him with hard shots. Rockhold was in the fight in moments, but he was facing an opponent who was literally made for this style of contest. Eventually, Perry was able to bust up Rockhold's teeth through his mouth guard, and in a truly shocking turn of events, Luke gave up there and then, signaling to the ref that he couldn't continue because of the state of his teeth. How's that for biting off more than you could chew?
I don't know what it is, je ne sais quoi, when they hit me in the mouth. But he had me afraid, you know. I forgot to bring my belt out in the back because I was like, let me focus on the fight. But, man, I'm here. We did it. There's definitely a lot more training I did than the fight was worth. It's over now, and I guess I should get ready to go again soon. I mean, could I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
When your whole game is built on being the most confident guy in the room, what happens when you learn that you simply aren't as good as the other guy? Well, Prince Naseem Hamed was undeniably an excellent fighter in his day. But when he took on Marco Antonio Barrera, he was coming up against a tough veteran fighter who wasn't in the ring to play games.
Lost your championship.
Not only so, he made him tuck his head just a little bit by telling him it looks more like he's doing more damage to you, rather than saying, there you are.
Naseem was as cocky as ever in the pre-fight exchanges, pushing his usual brand of highly confident trash talk, telling the world that with God behind him, no one could beat him.
Allahu Akbar! Allah is the greatest! Allahu Akbar! Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
But Barrera was about to teach this guy a lesson about humility, one that he would never live down. In fact, it shook Hamed so badly that his pro career as an elite fixture basically ended on this night. But at the time, the unbeaten Prince Naseem was an easy pick for the pre-fight bettors. But when round one began, it was clear that something was different. Hamed's dancing style and elusive head movement was simply not working.
The improvisational style that the Prince has developed since he was a boy is being exposed.
He's not taking that advice. He's going for it.
He's been on the wrong side of at least one decision here in Las Vegas. He doesn't want it to happen again.
No, Barrera was clearly the bully inside the ring, in contrast to how things had played out on the mic. Hamed tried his utmost to keep up the charade, but Barrera saw right through it, battering Naseem round after round to score a highly comfortable and surprising decision victory. He taught Naseem a lesson about the levels that can exist in boxing in the ring that night.
Next time I'm gonna slap you like a real bitch, all right? Don't get in my face and make threats here, okay? I got in your face to promote. Don't get in my face and make threats here, because I'll fuck you up here, okay? Next time, I'll smack the shit out of you for real. I smack you like a little bitch, because that's what you are right now. All right.
Lobov had a losing record in the UFC, and Paulie, in contrast, was a world champion. But bare-knuckle boxing is a different game, and there are ways for an MMA fighter to even the playing field. The glove size, the extended clinch sequences. But even still, Malignaggi was as vocal as ever, contrasting to the more softly spoken Lobov, who had already worked up a sizable cult following over the years, thanks to the whole goat meme. You remember that one, right? Anyway, on fight night, Lobov shocked us all by making this highly competitive.
From the Broughton rules and the London Prize Ring rules to the modern bare-knuckle fighting championship rules. Paulie Malignaggi versus Artem Lobov.
Despite having some of the shortest arms pound for pound in the fight game, his ability to chase Malignaggi with punches and rough him up paid dividends in a big way. Paulie was always a great defensive fighter, but with no real power of his own. He struggled to keep Artem off of him.
30 seconds gone, round 5.
Every time Lobov throws a powerful punch in the lands, it seems like it moves money. It moves money. Exactly.
Lobov holding the overhook. Clever turn from Malignaggi.
Veteran boxing reviews right there.
Once the fighting was done, the scorecards were always going to be tight. But it was Lobov who got the nod, shocking the world in the process.
The first Irishman to ever become a bare-knuckle world champion. And that is what is next for me. Bare-knuckle world champion. And we can get back to where it started.
Artem Lobov You made John L. Sullivan proud, I'm sure.
I see your tape, I see you fighting. You look like an amateur. Something else. How old are you?
I'm 30, man.
Okay. Drop dead.
Oh. Some wins just age better than others. And this early career fight between the future legend, but still the very young Badr Hari, and the veteran Peter Graham is a real example of that. Hari was the rising talent at the time, but man, he was so completely dismissive of Graham as a fighter, bringing a highly cocky attitude to proceedings as soon as he got a mic in front of his face. Even Hari's modern fans got to admit that this dude was just so unlikable during this time. Graham just gave off a much calmer air, like he knew something that Hari didn't. And despite the fact that Badr would eventually go on to single himself out as a true legend of the fight game, this brash youngster was far from the finished product. And on fight night, he received a slice of humble pie that likely still gives him nightmares to this day. Graham felt out the range for the early portions, but then after gauging his young opponent's timing, ducked forward into a remarkable rolling thunder-esque spinning heel kick to the jaw that landed just about as clean as any strike you'll see in the combat sports arena, period.
원활히 주심이 바적했어요. 예. 못 일어납니다. 이거 못 일어나요. 경기 종료! 끝났습니다, 이거.
Badr Hari had been KO'd stiff, and given his pre-fight antics, it was an embarrassing loss.
정말 백스핀 킥 빼고 돌려차기로 웃고 돌려차기로 웃는 선수가 되어버렸습니다.
I don't underrate any boxer. Any gun can kill. I'm ready for him. He's not a weak boxer. He's a boxer like me. But I'm a champion. I've got the history. I always protect WBC. I don't allow a boxer who have less than 10 fights to be a champion of the world. Never, 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 never. You must work hard for it.
There was a certain level of calm to the way this dude described himself as champion during his pre-fight conference. It wasn't even that he was especially cocky with his trash talk, but he was trying so hard to project an air of all-time great confidence that just looked kind of hilarious in hindsight. In his eyes, the WBC belt was his, and his alone, and his track record of defending it was never going to be interrupted by an opponent like this. Under any other circumstances, this kind of demeanor would be forgiven, but this calm, cool, and collected champion was about to embarrass himself by going in there and dancing around like a fool on fight night. That is most certainly not the actions of a champion, unless you actually have the skills to pull it off. And no, this was not the second coming of Muhammad Ali or Roy Jones Jr. Because when the fighting began, his early aggression then led to some joking around when his opponent drew him into a play-acting back and forth. Before the guy knew it was up, he was getting nailed by a huge combo that put him down right then and there. All of a sudden, his worst fears were realized, and that WBC belt was lost forever, despite his extremely confident promise that it was his to keep.
Is it on now? Oh, I want me some Mike Tyson, baby. I want me some Michelle Sisley Tyson. You don't get like this folding clothes. Long, baby. And weaving baskets. You train. I want me some Michelle Sisley Tyson.
Why did these guys ever think it was a good idea to trash talk Mike Tyson like this? Mitch Green is not a name that most of you are likely familiar with, unless you've recently watched Tyson's career in full. But trust me, his record, potential, and technical skill were never going to be enough to get him any higher than the fight with Iron Mike.
In fact, he should get a warning here from Mitch Green from holding behind the head.
And yet he spoke with the confidence of a superstar, openly mocking Tyson on camera while showing off his guns.
Power! I ain't no joke! My name is Big Green, and you heard my fight. Watch my smoke.
It was all good showmanship, but man, making things personal with a puncher like Tyson can really work against you.
Green just trying to tie Tyson up. His best rally of the fight right here.
Green did his duty in promoting the bout, for sure, but he was about to get an extended lesson on boxing fundamentals, and perhaps more than anything, raw power. Surprisingly, this was not one of Mike Tyson's quick knockouts.
Basically throws his punch. Another big left hook. Hey, Tyson there, good uppercut. He has to take the standing ventral. Another couple body shots. Well, he's smiling. Tyson is smiling, but see, Green has those fast hands.
Now, to his credit, Mitch Green managed to go the distance with the future world champion, but that doesn't mean it was a close fight. Green used the clinch well to stifle Tyson's punching, but he still took a major beating at his hands over 10 rounds. It was a lopsided decision, and one that rendered Green's pre-fight antics laughable. The two would famously get into a brawl on the streets years later, where Tyson would fracture his hand.
After I fuck him up December 14th. So after the performance that I put on December 14th, I hope my haters become fans.
You gotta give it to Adrian Broner. Love him or hate him, the dude knows how to sell a fight. But on more than one occasion, he's found himself in a difficult spot with an opponent who's simply on a different level to him.
Yeah, he's the old Maidana, but he's still landing power punches.
And when he took on the great Marcos Maidana, there was a boatload of pre-fight aggression and confidence that we're sure Maidana was feeling the effects of, but not in any way that would make him lose sight of his goal. No, Broner just has a way of making his opponents want to punish him.
Sí, no, me estoy entrenando con los Paulas, pero yo quiero pelear con mi guante. Voy a hacer lo posible para pelear con mi guante, y si no, no sé, veremos qué es lo que pasa.
The way he talks can be grating for anyone who's not already in his fan base. And though Maidana was as confident as can be about his chances of winning, he got some added motivation in the form of Broner's relentless trash talk. By the time fight night came, the onslaught did not end. In fact, Broner seemed completely certain that his moment had finally come, and that he would upset the odds and drive himself to a highly impressive win under the bright lights. Or at least, that was the idea.
And it's been exciting as Maidana again works the body. And a left hook upstairs by Maidana in the latter stages of round 6.
No, Maidana was simply too much for Broner. And even as Adrian attempted to be playful and taught his way out of tense situations, Maidana let his boxing do the talking and proceeded to put on an absolute clinic on his opponent, dropping him several times on the way to a very clear-cut and one-sided victory. Easy work.
Champion of the world.